So apparently I'm the villain of the comments section again. Last time I put a Chinese 250 up against a proper motocross bike, the internet experts were very quick to inform me that I was basically comparing a butter knife to a chainsaw. "That's not fair," they cried, typing frantically from their keyboards. "Wrong bike," they shouted. "Bring out the 300. Well, fine. You win. Here we are. This is a Chinese 300cc two-stroke, around 43 horsepower, over 50 Newton-meters of torque, electric start, modern everything. Going up against the iconic 1996 Honda CR250R, around 45 rear-wheel horsepower and 51 Newton-meters of torque. No button, no safety net, and absolutely no interest in making your life easier. Same kind of money. One is fresh out of the crate, the other has survived 30 years of motocross riders making questionable decisions and calling it maintenance. Let's see if this is finally a fair fight, or if we're just finding a slightly more expensive way to argue. The 1996 CR250R isn't just an old bike. It's that bike. It was the final stand for the steel frame before Honda's engineers decided in '97 that what riders actually wanted was to feel every single pebble through their spine via a rigid aluminum frame. It sounded like a revolutionary idea on paper, right up until everyone who rode the new one asked, "Yeah, this is great, but can we have our steel back? Our kidneys are vibrating." You see, the 96 had that one thing modern bikes often trade for spec sheets and sensors: feel. It's predictable, it's planted, it's precise. Or, as one veteran rider put it, it's amazing if you're good enough, and slightly terrifying if you're not. And honestly, that's the most honest review you'll ever hear. The engine is classic mid-90s Honda. It's sharp, it's aggressive, and it's very happy to remind you exactly who is in charge of this relationship. It doesn't have a linear power band. It has a light switch. And that switch is labeled "Hold On." This isn't a bike that helps you ride better. It's a bike that assumes you already know what you're doing. And if it figures out you're faking it, well, it'll quickly put you on your ass just to keep things interesting. Friendly like that. And then we've got the contender from the East, the Chinese 300. With 293cc, roughly 42.6 horsepower, and 52 Newton-meters of torque packed into a package weighing just over 100 kilos, this isn't the cute little trail bike from the last video. This one actually showed up for the fight with its teeth sharpened. The first thing you'll notice is the electric start, an absolute luxury that feels even more amazing as you sit there, thumb on the button, watching your mate kick his CR for 30 seconds straight while he pretends kickstarts are better and he's totally enjoying the cardio. It's got a hydraulic clutch, smooth power delivery, and, let's call it, highly inspired suspension. It's a KTM copy, sure, but it's even using genuine KTM fork and shock springs. You've got genuine DID rims, quality spokes, and CNC machined bits scattered everywhere like confetti. Now, did they maybe borrow someone else's homework? Yes, a lot of it. But when you're getting a machine with this spec list for a quarter of the price of the European equivalent, that moral outrage tends to disappear remarkably fast. It's amazing how a massive discount acts as a natural anesthetic for intellectual property concerns. Everything looks like it hasn't lived a hard life yet, which, again, is a nice change of pace. There are no mystery rattles, no ghost-in-the-machine electrical gremlins, and no one telling you, "Don't worry, it's always made that grinding sound." It's just a clean, shiny, surprisingly capable machine, with just a subtle, lingering hint of, Let's see how long this thing actually stays in one piece, energy about it. Now, here's where the numbers stop talking and things get interesting. On paper, these two are suddenly neck and neck. It's almost eerie how a 30-year-old Japanese legend and a brand new Chinese underdog end up in the same zip code of performance. The Chinese 300 is all about the torque. It's smooth, it's linear, and it's incredibly forgiving. It's the kind of bike that actively tries to make you look like a better rider than you actually are. It covers up your mistakes, smooths out your whiskey throttle moments, and generally acts like a supportive life coach. For most of us, let's be honest, that's exactly what we need. The CR250R, however, provides the opposite experience. The CR doesn't have a supportive bone in its steel body. It's sharp, it's aggressive, and it's constantly whispering, "Are you sure you meant to do that? Because I'm about to send us both into that tree." It doesn't make you look better. It makes you earn every single meter of trail. If you get it right, you feel like a god. If you get it wrong, the bike is more than happy to let you file the paperwork for your own disaster. So yes, this is finally a fair fight. But it's also like comparing a modern, high-tech power tool with a built-in safety shutoff to a vintage chainsaw that hasn't been sharpened since the Clinton administration and occasionally tries to fight back just to see if you're still awake. Now let's talk about the part of the ownership experience that nobody really puts in the brochure. The Chinese bike arrives needing what I like to call the new bike purgatory. It looks ready, but you still have to spend your Saturday checking every bolt, torque setting the essentials, checking if there's actually grease in the bearings, assuming the factory actually remembered that grease is a thing that exists. Because let's be real, until relatively recently, words like quality and assurance weren't something you associated with Chinese-built motorcycles. Yeah, that looks enough like a motorcycle to me. Ship it. Meanwhile, the Honda, well, there's no doubt everything was built properly. The Japanese engineering is legendary. Unfortunately, it was built properly in 1996, which means you aren't just riding a bike. You're managing a 30-year-old archaeological site. You're dealing with metal fatigue, perished rubber, and whatever innovative mechanical solutions the previous 5 owners considered good enough for a Sunday morning. You're basically trusting your life to 90s Loctite and a lot of hope. So, the choice is actually quite simple. Do you want to fix new problems right now, or old problems for the rest of your life? When you take them to a proper MX track, the CR250R still feels like the genuine article. It's sharp, it's fast, and it's surgical in the corners. There's a certain level of intimidation that comes with it, but that's all part of the charm. It's like dating someone way out of your league who might also be a professional assassin. The Chinese 300 will do the track work, sure, but it feels a bit like it's trying to crash a party it wasn't really invited to. It'll get around the jumps, it will rail a berm, but you can feel it politely suggesting that maybe, just maybe, we should go find some mud or a gnarly hill instead, please. Because in the woods, the desert, or the rocks, it's a completely different story. The 300 is easier, smoother, and, if we're being brutally honest, probably faster for about 90% of riders. Why? Because it isn't actively trying to ruin your afternoon. It's got that low-end grunt that turns a technical hill climb from a near-death experience into a minor inconvenience. And in real life, where most of us just want to spend our weekends riding trails and having fun without risking a trip to the emergency room. So, was the original 250 comparison unfair? Yeah, probably. I'll take that one on the chin. The bigger Chinese bike finally brings the performance. It's easier, more usable, and honestly makes a massive amount of sense for the modern weekend warrior. It's a shortcut to having a blast without needing a mechanical engineering degree and a death wish. The CR250? It still feels like something special. It's sharp, it's demanding, and it's still slightly terrifying if you aren't paying 100% attention to what your right wrist is doing. One helps you ride better. The other expects you to be better. And that's really what it comes down to. There's no clear winner, just two very different ways of getting to the same destination. One is a modern shortcut with a warranty you might actually need, and the other is a 30-year-old challenge with a legendary personality. So, what are you taking? The easy option that likes you, or the one that might throw you into the bushes just to keep things interesting? Let me know in the comments. Mike from Moto Turo.